everyone. This is Megan Skidmore, host of the Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Welcome to episode 21. We teach our kids it's safe to have doubts by leaning into our own with Lindsay Law. Lindsay, the Youth Rising coach, is on a mission to teach teens self-love and to see themselves as the divine sees them. She shares the importance of being friends with our teenagers on this journey, in addition to being parents. If this episode resonates after listening, please take a minute and share it with a friend, and also review it on Apple Podcasts. Hey everybody, welcome. I am really thrilled to have my friend Lindsay Law to join me today. I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell our listeners all about you.
Yeah. Well, I am so happy to be here, Megan. Thank you so much for having me on. We had such a great conversation the other day, and so I'm super excited to chat with you again. I'm a mom of 6. I've got a 2-year-old up to an 18-year-old. So it's a big spread and it's lots of fun. And yeah, I love having my teenagers. I was actually realizing the other day when I was doing another podcast interview how my mom used to talk about how awesome teenagers were and that she loved the teenage stage. And I hadn't really remembered that. And maybe that's why I love teenagers so much too, because I just grew up with this positive approach to having older children. And I just thoroughly enjoy connecting with and doing things with my teens and tweens. And I would say that they are some of my best friends, like truly. So I'm so grateful for that.
I agree.
Yeah, I had this vision as a mother, and it came from actually a poem by Carolyn Pearson. And I can't quote it for you, but she talks about walking hand in hand with her child and how they're equals on this journey. Even though we have different roles, we have the same journey to go through life and return to God, and we can support each other on that journey. I love looking at motherhood that way because it just makes it so much more fun. So here I am getting into talking about motherhood. But the other things about me is I love to cycle. I love to get on my road bike and just take off down the highway and go fast. Bike to the beach in the morning and have my quiet time at the ocean and pray and read. And
sounds like a dream.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I do love it. And the other thing I love is I love doing my yoga, deal with some of the physical things that I have happening to my body, and just keeps me going. So I can't live without my yoga.
So let's talk a little bit about your niche as a life coach.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, when we chatted before, you love obviously your kids and the teenage stage. And I think that's what influenced your choice in niche.
Yeah, absolutely. I started really going on this self-love journey and looking into Brené Brown and learning from her the gifts of imperfection and just really trying to intentionally love myself. And as I was going through this process and learning and growing and being able to be more kind and loving to myself, I really felt this impression that I needed to be part of the self-love journey for other people, that I needed to help them to see themselves the way God sees them, to see themselves with the love and compassion that they truly deserve. And as I came to this realization, I also felt that it was really important that I share this message with teens, because I knew that the earlier our brains could understand how to intentionally love ourselves and intentionally show self-compassion, it would just make so many of those trials and experiences that come in life so much easier. And I just wanted that for my kids. I wanted that for my youth, for the youth in the world. And so I actually started a YouTube channel before I became a life coach. And I was teaching families how to talk to their kids about mental health, how to talk to their kids about their brains, because I really found that as parents, there's a lot of conversations around teaching our kids to take care of themselves physically, right? and
Right.
we talk about school, but there's not a lot of conversation that I found anyway around taking care of our brains and teaching our kids how to take care of their mental health before it became a crisis, before it was a big problem, and to build in daily practices and daily experiences that nurture and take care of the most important organ that we have in our body. And so that was kind of what started my mission. And previously, I actually have worked as a pediatric physical therapist. And so just working with kids has always been part of what I do. I love connecting with kids and teens and kind of sharing, kind of figuring out, okay, this is what the goal we have, and how am I going to help kids understand this at their level and make it fun and make it interesting. And so that's one thing that I just have always loved to do, and teaching kids. And so something I'm very passionate about. Parent the child that I wanted, right? The child who was doing the things I wanted. And it was a huge shift for me. And what I found is that changing the way I communicated actually helped my teens be able to see their value and love themselves more easily. And of course, we can't make our kids love themselves. We can't
I,
change the
I
thoughts in their
see
head, right?
so much overlap here in our work, and
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing. First of all, I love that coming from a physical therapist background, that you are bringing this full circle for
Yeah.
yourself and for those that you serve, seeing the importance of that self-worth definitely has to do with spiritual health. And so I love how you've married all of those and see the importance, how they're connected. I work with LGBTQ plus families, so
Yeah.
parents. And more recently, I have been working with Q plus teens and young adults. And it is a very precarious stage in life. There's so many things that come up while they are trying to develop and learn, identify, you know, connect with themselves, figure out who they are, and then accept that. And part of that is their identity in an eternal sense, right? We believe in a higher power. We believe in the divine. An additional element that the teens and young adults I work with, that they struggle with, is the way that they identify in their gender and their sexuality is perceived. And so there's lots of opportunities for me to work with them in helping them to see that their value is infinite and it is absolute. Their worth is unchangeable. And so I bring that up, just
Yeah.
I understand what you're sharing. You know, that is a big part of what led me to my niche, is that brings up questions and concerns. For a mom, it did me, and for the families that I work with. And traditionally, that's just something that's kind of frowned upon, or there's some element of shame threaded in there. And my goal is to normalize that we all have doubts. We all have questions. It's part of life. If it feels like a big deal, it has more to do with how we've the light that we've shed on it in society. So I'm hoping to break
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
I totally agree.
yeah,
And I think too, it's being able to really open our minds to like how God sees us and our children here on this earth, right? And we, I think we see certain things as being really important just through tradition, through experiences we've had. And I think, again, it's just questioning those, right? Questioning if the things that we've been, the way we've been living and the way we've been seeing things is maybe not actually the way they are. That maybe God has a more open and loving and accepting way of interacting with his kids than we have maybe before realized.
yes, I like the way you term that. And that segues perfectly into something you shared with me prior to hitting the record button, and that is a focus that you have of encouraging, allowing um, the individual to mold their journey
Yeah.
rather than trying to fit into some predetermined, pre-decided box or mold, however you want to say that. Can you share
Yeah.
a little bit more with us about that?
Yeah. And I think like where I see this showing up the most in my practice with teens and with my own teens is when it comes to school, because I think we as parents have a lot of ideas about what our kids should do, what it should look like. And then as well within, spiritual or faith traditions, because there's certain ideas about what that should look like as well.
Right. And they
And and so I think it's very important as a parent to recognize maybe some of the beliefs that you have that maybe aren't necessarily true. That, this idea that, I don't know, even like children must go to university. We need
yeah,
to question that. We need to question, okay, is this the right thing for my child?
yes.
How do I want to support them in their interests and what they love? And really just, and I think for me, what has been really profound is really focusing on parenting the child in front of me instead of parenting this imaginary child that I've made up in my brain and how I think they should be.
Mhm.
Because honestly, it's so much harder. Because for one, you don't connect with them. They have such a hard time connecting with you because basically when you parent your child that way, you're expressing to them that you don't accept them the way they are. And when they don't feel accepted, they're far less likely to come to you, open up to you, share what's happening in their life with you. And so it's so important for us to be onto ourselves about when we're trying to mold them into a way we think that they should be. And so I really think, and then when this comes to like our faith, I know for my daughter, like she's come to me a few times and she has said, "Hey, mom, like I don't like wearing dresses. I don't
Mhm.
want to wear a dress to church." And I mean, for me, I don't know, it's never really bothered me. I'm like, okay, wearing a dress to church. But for her, it was something where she felt like it was something she was supposed to do, right? And I think our kids have all these shoulds and supposed tos.
Some type of moral value or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think as parents, when they come to us with these things, just being really open and being able to be a questioner with them and say, oh, that is interesting. Why do we wear skirts to church? Like, why is this a tradition? Why is this something we do? And is there another way to look at it? And is there room for some more differing views on this topic? And is it impacting my ability to connect with God?
Yeah.
Because when we're talking about a faith tradition, like our goal is to connect with God, right?
Yeah.
And whether my daughter wears pants or a skirt
Doesn't
to
have
church,
anything to do with that.
that has nothing to do with her heart and
Yeah.
what's written on her heart. And so we were able to have this beautiful conversation. And then I was able to say, hey, pray, talk to God about it and make your own decision. And I will support you in whatever you decide to do.
So you said something that alluded to sometimes it's okay to call into question beliefs that we've had, um, and perhaps we don't even realize that it was an option for us to have those beliefs in the first place. In one of my
Totally.
earlier episodes, I called it the anatomy of a belief. You and
Okay.
I both certified at the life coach school, which teaches the model. And so
Yeah.
we know that everything's can be classified into one of five things: the circumstance, thought, feeling, action, or inaction, and then that creates our result, right?
Yeah.
And we know that that second line, the thought line, is arguably the most important part. That's where the power lies in creating our ultimate result. But here's the thing, and this is why I had to do an episode on this and called it The Anatomy of a Belief, is because I think when we haven't really taken the time to stop and realize where a belief came from, a belief is a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that a thought is a sentence in our brain.
Totally.
And it's a thought that we have thought many times, right? And we know how the brain works. When we think something over and over, there's this little pathway that's created.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's something that becomes a part of us. Maybe we get comfortable because it feels safe.
Exactly.
And so then the thought of even trying to tease that thought, that belief, is scary.
Absolutely.
And it's hard
It
to
does feel scary.
consider leaning into that idea because it feels so true to us. And the reason why it feels so true is because we believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the beauty of what we do as coaches is we help individuals kind of take a step back. And like Jody Moore says, be the watcher of our thoughts, right?
Totally.
And that's why thought work is so important. You started to share something with me about an experience your daughter, or actually just some concerns your daughter shared
Yeah.
about a well-known individual in our faith.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually my older daughter and I had the opportunity of seeing David Archuleta perform live at our stake center, like at a stake youth event. Like, I don't know, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, it was amazing. It was so great. He told us a lot about his faith journey, and it was really neat to talk to him. And then just, in the last year or so, my other daughter had learned about some things that had changed, or come up for David Archuleta, right? That he was, discovering his identity and things like that, and how that kind of played into his membership in the church and his participation in the church, and how that was a struggle. And she brought this article to me, and it was, I don't know where the article was printed. I can't remember. And she just said to me, she's like, "Mom, like, what do you make of this? What do you think about this?" And I think it's so good for our kids to have questions,
Mhm.
and for them to be able to bring them to us and say, "Hey, like, how do we kind of reconcile, you know, this teaching in the church and from Jesus Christ that we love everybody, right? We accept and love everybody. And then there are people who don't feel like they can be a part of and feel accepted in our church." And the truth is I don't have the answer. I really do not have the answer. But I think opening those conversations and saying, and having a conversation with our kids and saying, "Yeah, you know what? I don't have the answer for this, but let's kind of brainstorm what are some ways that we can, as individuals, be a place of safety, be a place of acceptance, and be an example of that within our faith community." And I think, I don't think anyone really has the answers. God is the only one that really, sees the whole picture, right? Sees the whole, and sees us all as these individual children that we are. And I think that we all have to come, through questioning and through praying to a decision, or to a place where we feel comfortable with how we're showing up in that situation, and how we are being an example and a follower of Christ, and not because someone told us how to do it or that there's some rule, that it's coming really from inside.
If there's one thing I'm noticing about this generation, they are they're so unique. They're powerful. They they know their truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't pick which thing I love the most about what you just shared regarding this experience with your daughter. Because how you are setting that example of it's okay to not be sure about everything. It's okay to
Totally.
have these questions and doubts. Let's sit down and talk about it. And you are confident enough in that process, Lindsay, that you are willing, you're able to sit there and walk it with your child without telling them, here is the list of boxes. This is what you must do. You are giving them that opportunity to blaze their own path.
Absolutely. And when I think about this concept, like when my kids come to me with questions, like, and that same daughter had a bunch of questions about keeping the Sabbath day holy and what she wanted that to look like for her. And that we'd kind of grown up with this tradition of, well, we just don't do this.
Yeah.
And I
And no
don't know.
explanation.
And did we have a really,
Right.
and we maybe had a loose reason why, but even like I can decide how I want to keep the Sabbath day holy, and then she gets to decide how she wants to.
It goes
Instead of
back
it being
to,
like, in our house, this is what we do, this is the rule. No, like I'm a guide. I'm like hand in hand with my daughter on this journey. I'm not the boss.
yes.
And I get to have my own personal connection with God, and I get to make that decision for me. And
Right.
I may have a conversation with my daughter about, yeah, like why do you question that? And how do you feel about taking that action on the Sabbath day? How does that either bring you closer to God or not? And
Exactly. It's like
and just
the dress or not wearing of the dress thing. Is it
yeah.
good filter is okay if it's bringing you deepening that connection, that relationship that you are cultivating with the divine. Awesome.
Yeah.
And
And
be
or
not
if it's like
privileged to judge.
Or if it's like, this is something that's really important to me as a person, to go play that soccer game. I don't know, right? And traditionally we haven't played sports on Sunday.
Mhm,
But if my child came to me and said, "You know what, Mom? These are my thoughts around this. These are
mhm.
the reasons that I want to do this." I don't feel like I don't get to say what feels right for them in keeping that law of the Sabbath.
Totally.
And they actually get to decide. And the reason that's so important is because if we're trying to tick boxes and follow some list of what we're supposed to do, it makes it so much harder for our kids to want to come to church, to want to live the gospel, to want to connect with God, because it feels like this constricting.
Right. It's contrary to our God-given free will and free agency. It's
Absolutely.
contrary to the natural process of development and
Yeah.
right.
And I think some parents, have a hard time hearing that because they're like, yeah, but I have to have rules and we have to have, and
Right.
I'm not saying you should abolish all rules and I mean, God has laws and there are natural laws of the universe that we cannot escape. But I just think we need to question more of kind of the traditions and things that we think are laws and rules that maybe aren't.
There's a certain point in parenthood, I believe, that I had a dear friend share this philosophy with me, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. It's different when your kiddos are very young and they're in formative years, and
Totally.
versus there comes this age somewhere in the mid-teens where it's like, you know what you're really preparing are pre-adults, like you're young adults.
Absolutely.
And it's like, are you going to allow them to quote practice that under your roof while they're still there and can fall back on a softer landing, I guess, versus they still feel that they're feeling that constriction or that rigidity under your roof and no room to grow, no room to
Yeah.
practice spreading their wings, that kind of a thing. You viewed questions and doubts
Yeah.
and having different interpretations of what it means to connect with divine, or wearing a dress to church or not wearing a dress to church. It's like stepping back and just letting people breathe.
Yeah. I know. And it's like, it might seem like little things, like, oh, like, is that really a big deal? But it is, because we're sending a message that what you think and feel as a human being is important, that your questions and your ideas and opinions and your relationship with God individually, that is important. And
And
it's more important than what I think as your parent.
And whether we realize it or not, we're teaching them, going back to that self-value, that self-worth piece.
Absolutely.
Whether it's spoken or not, the message is there that I trust you enough. You are valuable without question. I have faith in you that you can make this choice, especially
Yes,
between wearing pants or a dress. Okay, great. Yes, do that.
absolutely. And also, I am so proud of this daughter of mine, because for her it takes courage to show up at church in pants,
Yes,
because she is
right.
one, probably I mean, there's a couple, very few people who are women are showing up in pants, right? And so as a young woman, she's
I'm
showing
not
up.
there anyway.
It's a courageous thing for her to do, to say, hey, this is what I believe, this is what feels right to me, and I'm not going to worry about what other people think of me. I'm not going to make those kind of like side glances mean that there's something wrong with me. I'm going to have my own back. I'm going to believe in myself, and I'm going to do what feels good for me in this faith tradition. And I think that's so courageous, like building that muscle of hers to really step into her own identity and trust that and live that. I
Yeah.
just think that allowing our kids the space to do that is so powerful. So powerful.
I think at the very minimal, you are helping them to feel seen. And that is
Yes.
what everybody wants, is to be seen for who they are, for their. When we were chatting earlier, you had mentioned a scripture in 2 Corinthians,
Oh, yes, yes.
and a good question to ask yourself is, am I doing or saying this for the right reason,
Mm-hmm.
or just because
Yeah.
I've been told to?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And yeah, and that scripture talks about having the gospel written on the fleshy tables of our hearts, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, do I want my kids to feel the gospel and to be connected in a way that they've chosen to have it in their heart, instead of something that's outside of them that they're just following? And I remember I had a client last year, and he came to me and he's like, well, I'm supposed to serve a mission. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And we really were able to take that apart and say, well, what do you want? What do you feel? How do you want to be a disciple of Christ?
So powerful.
And and he did end up going on a mission. He just left this month earlier,
Mhm.
but it was because he decided to, not because he felt like he was supposed to and that he had to.
Mhm.
Because how different is that experience going to be for him and the people he interacts with when he has chosen that because it's important to him? He's decided that's something that is a part of how he wants to live his faith, instead of, well, everyone does it. My parents want me to. This is what I'm supposed to do. His experience is going to be so different.
It's it's equally valuable and important to note if that young man had chosen not to go, that would be a valid, equally great decision because he is taking the time to decide what works for him, for his connection with God, for his talents, for whatever is going on for him,
Yeah,
right? Because everybody's
absolutely.
is going to be 100% different. There might be some similarities and some crossover, but what is painful for one isn't going to be for another. What is
Absolutely.
exciting and seems fun or adventurous to one is going to seem perhaps really scary to another.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, and I'm really glad you pointed that out because yeah, I mean, just because he did decide to go, like it would be equally as acceptable and if he had decided not to, because he's making that decision for himself.
Yes,
And I think we need to help our brothers and sisters let go of any shaming or thinking that anyone is less than for having not, I don't know, done certain things in certain ways. Because when it all comes down to it, we are all equals. We are all children of God.
mhm,
And we are loved no matter what we do. No matter, I mean, doing a certain thing or a certain act or it doesn't make us more valuable. And not doing enough or not, not doing what we think we should do doesn't make us any less valuable. We are valued because we are children of God and we're on our own journey in this life and no one gets to decide what's right and wrong for us on that faith journey.
because we're both life coaches, but I think that's the difference between helping foster an environment for our kids to stay in emotional childhood or move
Yes.
into take those steps that will move them into emotional adulthood. We talk
Yeah.
a lot about adulthood when it comes to, you know, getting
Yeah.
a car, driver's
Can they
license,
do their laundry and like,
their own meals, get an education,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
But
No, and yeah,
it's really important, if not more so.
absolutely. Because if they're living in a way where they know that they're responsible for their own emotions and their own decisions around that, they're more likely to be able to handle those things that come because they can
Exactly.
take responsibility. They can take ownership of doing something about it. Like when I talk to parents, that's one of my main points to them is that we need to validate our kids' emotions. We need to say, hey, I see you. I hear you. What you're feeling is absolutely okay. And as we do that, we're modeling for them emotional adulthood.
Right. And we're modeling for them that all of the emotions are okay
Yes.
and safe to experience.
Yeah.
And blowing out of the water this long passed on tradition that, we tend to
Get
run
rid of all of those uncomfortable
after.
feelings.
Yes,
I
exactly.
know. And I think we're on just the precipice of so many opportunities for our youth because they're growing up in
Sure.
an age where our minds are more open. The understanding we have about human emotions and acceptance is far beyond what it was when we were children.
Mhm.
And I am excited. I am so
Me
excited
too. Me
to
too.
see
I have a
what,
lot of hope in this next generation.
yeah, like what these youth are going to create there, because that's what creates leaders, right? Leaders who are like, I can feel any emotion. I'm not afraid of this. And I know that I'm okay no matter what. And I don't have to follow some rule just because
Yeah.
someone said it 20 years ago and we're just
I can,
all doing it because we don't even know
I,
why.
I can think of few things more powerful than being able to teach, foster, cultivate in your child this ability to recognize what resonates with them,
Yeah,
what aligns with them as a physical being, as a spiritual being who has
totally.
emotional health, mental health, all of the healths.
Yeah.
and to trust in that relationship with them and with their higher power, their divine.
And I think that really, I love how you said that because I think that's really our role as parents. Our role as parents is not to create functioning adults. Our role as parents is not to create happy human beings. Our role as parents is to create an environment where our kids feel the safety to really be themselves
Right.
in all of those areas and to find that connection with them.
And so I think if we are hesitant as a parent to consider, quote, not checking the boxes, that's a really great moment to pause and ask yourself why and what's coming up. If
Mm,
it's fear-based or
yeah,
worry-based or you feel anxiety, you know, how about say, yeah, that makes sense because at the heart of it, I want what's best for my child. I want them to have that relationship with God. So, yeah, it would make sense that I feel a little bit uneasy about trying something new or different. Not trying
totally.
something that's bad or negative. It's just different.
Yeah.
And that giving ourselves that permission, powerful.
Yes. And I'm really glad you brought that up because I think that is one of the main emotions that drives our resistance to allowing that space for our kids is the fear of them going inactive, the fear of them making bad choices, the fear of them not being successful.
True.
But again,
The alternate
you
is
know,
available to us to believe as
we don't
well,
get to decide.
right? Yeah, we have the option to believe the opposite. This could be exactly what they need.
Absolutely. And of course, our brains, because they're so good at finding the problems, are going to think about all the bad things, right? All the wrong things about making that choice. What could go wrong? And we forget to look on the flip side of, what could this allow my child to learn? And what are the benefits of them going through this experience? And I think too, I mean, I've had kids who have gone through some really tough things, and I have seen the character and the skills that they have developed through going through those hard things. And as much as there are parts of me that have just wanted to take it away, just wanted to change it, like looking back and of course being able to have that hindsight of like 4 or 5 years, down the road and just feeling gratitude for that opportunity they have had to become more of who they are and to because I think those are the moments, those hard things that actually help us shed away some of
I could keep talking to you for a
yeah.
while. Any final thoughts that you would like to leave or share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I guess I feel like I maybe said this a couple times already, but I think that it is one of the most profound things that I have learned through my journey with my children is just really focusing on parenting the child in front of you, really seeing them for who they are, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they like to do, and just really seeing that person and allowing ourselves to let go of the fear of we think they should be, who we want them to be. Because the thing is that when we really step in to seeing who they are, they're able to be, I think they just create more of who they are and this goodness in the world that couldn't have come if we continue to expect them to be something else. And I think we miss out on so many amazing opportunities for our children when we have this idea of who they should be and how they should behave, because we actually really don't know. And I think, I mean, we don't love uncertainty. We like to know, we like to have things feel like they're going the way they're supposed to. And again, I think that comes to just trusting ourselves, trusting God, and trusting our kids. And that's actually my word for the year is trust.
Good.
And just really stepping into trusting myself to be able to see my kids for who they are. And then trusting them that their journey is leading to them to where they need to go. And that they're living their best life just the way they're living it. and that even the problems, even the struggles are part of that journey, and it's okay. And just trusting God that all will work out and that his love for us is unconditional and it's always there no matter where we're at in our journey. So that would be what I would leave with you.
One of the best pieces of advice that I got from a fellow LGBTQ plus mama was, instead of praying for your kids to do this or not to do this, pray that they have the experiences that they need in order to return to return to God one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Because we don't, we think we know what they
That goes
need.
with what you're saying. We've got to trust.
Yeah, we don't actually know.
Wow, such an amazing conversation. Just a few for fun questions for you.
Yeah,
You can just give one word answers, 1 or 2 words.
sounds good.
What is your favorite book?
Oh, that I'm just looking around because I have some books lying around me. I have a lot of books that I love.
Anne of Green Gables.
Okay. I need to know. Well, actually, Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is something I read as I was learning to deal with my anxiety. So I had a lot of anxiety as a young adult, and I would literally carry that book around with me. And when I would feel anxious, I would read. And yes, so Anne of Green Gables is definitely one of my favorite. Thank you for helping me figure that out.
Would you call yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh, I am definitely an extrovert. No questions.
What about a night owl or a morning lark?
I wouldn't call myself a morning person. And I mean, I'm not the one to stay up super late either, but definitely I'd rather be up till 10:30 than wake up at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Matthew McConaughey.
That's hilarious. He's from Texas. My celebrity crush is from Canada.
Oh, who's that?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I can't
Good
believe I
one
said
too.
that out loud. That's funny.
Is he Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Are you
even know.
Pepsi or Coke person?
You know what? I am not a pop person at all.
Yeah, I just keep it that way.
I don't drink it. Ugh.
What about your favorite artist?
I love Claude Monet.
Me too.
Oh, and I'm just noticing you have one behind you.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah.
I love Monet. I always loved his Bridge Over the Lilies. Was it the lilies? I don't know. But my kids and I actually read this book about Claude Monet's life, and it's this beautiful picture book. Oh, loved learning about him. He's a cool guy.
What about the furthest place you've traveled?
I've been to Europe and Hawaii. So I guess it depends where you're starting from, which is furthest, which side of the continent.
Both sound great to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell everybody how they can connect with you, where to find you, about any offers that you have.
So I'm on Instagram at Youth Rising Coach. I also do have a YouTube channel at Youth Rising. My website is www.youthrisingcoach.com. Yeah, right now I offer one-on-one coaching for both parents and teens. And as well, I'm also running monthly workshops for both parents and teens. And we have a monthly topic that we focus on jointly. And so the parents are hearing about it, the kids are hearing about it. And then we're just really focusing on, as parents, communicating that acceptance for whatever topic it is. Because that's my big thing. It's these kids, we're going to help them so much if they feel that acceptance from us in the way we communicate. And then for our teens, helping them let go of those stories that are not allowing them to accept themselves. So helping with teens accepting themselves, that's my main focus, and being able to accept themselves for exactly where they are.
You're doing such great work. So neat.
Thank you. I love my work, and I love the crossover between what we do, right? Our clients are different in ways, but our goal is the same, right? To create that love and acceptance for who they are.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today. If what you have heard resonates, please share this podcast with others who you know would benefit. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts also helps spread the word and helps the podcast grow. Don't forget to connect with me at my website, meganskidmorecoaching.com, and subscribe to get my free 20-plus page LGBTQ plus resource guide for families, among several other free resources. I'm a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, which can be found at dialoguejournal.com/podcast network. The Dialogue Podcast Network is part of the Dialogue Journal, created in 1966 by Eugene England, a Mormon writer, teacher, and scholar. Eugene said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue. My hope is that my podcast is an extension of that vision." Until next time, thank you so much for being here.